Hey guys, it's your boy Andrew here to give you our thoughts after getting to dive into Wartales cooperative campaign. This is a different kind of video for us with less review and more of our impressions and an explanation of the co-op mechanics that we saw. We've played a chunk of the game entirely in co-op and know that there are plenty of people that are unsure of what this game is in co-op, so that's where I'm coming in to help you out. Wartales is a unique title, having been in early access since December 2021 and just recently released into 1.0. Now, during that early access period, it's gotten a ton of love and it sits around a 90% overwhelmingly positive on Steam by users. But from the looks of it on trailers, I'm certainly interested due to the unique aesthetic of the overworld, but I'm just having trouble seeing where the cooperative aspect comes into play. It's an open world strategy RPG that, after getting to play, I'd boil down to a medieval mercenary management sim. You're thrown into the world with little to no pomp or circumstance, and you and your group get to carve out your own path and story, all while trying to keep the gang alive, fed, and happy. Starting off the campaign in co-op was super easy. In the main title, Gabe, my co-op partner here, started a co-op campaign, picked through some cool settings, and invited me to his game. I really like some of these early settings that we had, like the ability to determine if the game levels up dynamically or is gated off by levels. I could see someone wanting to do it one way with their friends while playing a totally different way in a solo campaign. Starting off, you have a group of mercenaries here that you can customize, choose their look, their name, and some starting attributes or weapons. And already we started to see how the co-op was going to work. Each of us got to pick however many mercenaries we wanted to control out of the ones that were available. So Gabe chose 2 that he would control throughout our time, and I chose the other 2, plus our future war pony, Emily. Now, we could switch this pretty much whenever we wanted later in the game, but it starts to reveal their reasoning behind implementing co-op into Wartales. So here's my pitch on the co-op here. This game has a lot of systems that can be tough to keep track of, so having 2 minds, or in this case up to 4 actually, work together and split the responsibilities helps a lot. You only have to worry about a few people in your group as opposed to the entire group. Eventually you can get a band of up to 20 plus mercenaries, so having your friends join you to keep things tidy is a really nice help. Okay, so once you start, I should re-emphasize there is truly no pomp or circumstance. Tutorials are bare thin outside of an obvious combat tutorial, so you're definitely going to feel confused for your first hour plus. We definitely did. But after a little time, we could feel the gameplay loops start to form. Essentially, you're going to want to make your way towards town and hit the local inn to start getting contracts. As you complete contracts, your mercenaries are going to earn money, items, and reputation that can help the group grow. So you'll set off from the inn to do these contracts, which usually include 2 key elements: turn-based strategy battles and tough morality decisions. Both of these are really well done, but let's start with the combat. In combat, I'm still only controlling my chosen mercenaries since we're playing in co-op, but I need to communicate with Gabe on the best actions to take. There is permadeath, which we sadly learned too early on. Rest in peace, Brienne. So be careful. You'll want to pay attention to troop positions, turn order, and your individual abilities of each mercenary. The general gist is each round, every mercenary is going to get to go once, but on your team's turn, you can choose any one of them you want to move. This is where it's really important to know which mercenary is in the best position to attack or move, and you'll need to work that out as a team. We were communicating on every detail and use the different classes to decide who would engage and who would sneak around for a backstab. If you're not keen on turn-based combat already, I don't think this is going to convince you, but it's definitely solid and does more than just get the job done. I imagine as you gain more and more troops, it's going to ramp up and keeps you engaged throughout the really long playtime. And the further we played, the more defined each troop's role became, like tanks or poison dealers or range archers, and we really like that, especially for co-op. The other interesting aspect is the tough decisions you and your co-op partners have to make. In almost every major contract, we decide between taking 2 sides with a clear narrative of like refugees versus locals in the opening area. And honestly, it was super compelling. Like, no obvious and easy choices, and we really liked that aspect. And the best part is your decisions and actions really matter, and you're building an overarching narrative for the world and your group. The first act that we finished culminated with a massive battle that felt entirely created by our personal decisions, and making those with a friend and discussing the best options was a ton of fun. So you're going out and doing these purple, like quote-unquote story contracts to further the overarching narrative of the area you're in, or completing more simple red bounties that just earn you money. But I still have to touch on the other huge part of this game, managing your team of mercenaries. You frequently have to stop what you're doing and set up camp, as you have an energy bar for the group that will run down as you move around the overworld. In camp, your main goal is to feed the troops, but this is also where you're going to level up the gang, add on to their armor and weapons, organize your inventories, and sometimes even see their relationships evolve. At one point, one of our mercenaries and our horse Emily got closer. I'm not sure where that was going to lead romantically. And one mercenary was actually mourning the death of Brienne. That was really cool. It was neat to see them sort of react to the game dynamically. You also want to choose jobs for your mercenaries, and you can see that element play out while you're in camp. For instance, Gabe made one of his guys, John, our eventual team captain, into a tinkerer, so he was able to create stuff for our camp. He created a pot that my guy, Lodrell, our chosen cook, could make food for the rest of the camp through. So cooperatively, this is cool in that I became the provider of food and had my role carved out in that sense, and I had to provide for the team in a special way. So overall, the gameplay loop becomes a combo of exploring, finding materials, earning money, increasing your reputation, and then finding new mercenaries to join your team when you have the energy. Then once the energy runs low, you'll get around the campfire, recap, level up your guys, and then keep everyone fed and happy. As I said, it took a while to get to that point because of the lack of tutorialization, but once it did, we could immediately see why this was getting so much buzz in early access. Every system works together way better than we thought it would, and that loop of expanding and exploring, leading to then a campfire recap, felt great. And while it clearly is a case of a solo game that you can also happen to play with friends, I'm really impressed at how seamless the co-op is. As the non-host player, I felt an equal amount of agency, and they do a really good job with menus having that classic both players need to click here to move on sort of feel. And I think that word I used was perfect to explain the co-op experience. It's seamless, and definitely we felt impressed by the time we were done with our time with the game. Keep in mind the host controls the save, so you'll need them to play, but for a game like this, I do not see that as a deal breaker. So there are my thoughts on the co-op of Wartales. I could easily see a group committing to a run-through over a long period of time, because this game's probably 50 plus hours. It's very D&D-esque, but set in a medieval setting, so if that sounds like something you and your friends can get behind, it's probably worth checking out. You gotta know what you're getting into, and I hope I've done something here to help. It's not a full review, don't get me wrong, but it's my impressions on the co-op, and the co-op is surprisingly solid. If you like this kind of content, let us know down below. We'll continue this when the schedule feels right. Until then, we'll catch you next time on another episode of the Co-op Bros.
Read that?
Wait, there's like a cutscene happening. You're burying
Wait,
it.
I'm done.
Oh my
look, yeah,
gosh.
look, hover over the up and down so you can read the thing I left.
Brienne died too soon, like one battle too soon. Day 3, 21 hours. Oh my gosh, dude. Brienne,
so funny.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Pour one out.